After this dream, he was scared and couldn't sleep, and he felt that his ankle was particularly painful, so he turned on the bedside lamp. When the lamp came on, he found that his right ankle was swollen, and there was a very clear purple handprint, very obvious, and had never encountered such a strange thing for the first time. And how could the things in the story correspond to reality? So he sat on the bed until Dawn called his family and said this matter, and his parents asked him to go home quickly. Originally thought that going home would be fine, but the climax came. On the first night of returning home, Ann went out for a night run, and as he ran, he entered a dimly lit path, and there were not many people, and he saw a person squatting on the road ahead, wearing a bamboo hat, and Ann was just too familiar with that silhouette. It was the person he saw in the dream after seeing that thing, squatting on the side of the road. At this time, the two people came face to face, and that guy's face was very scary, like what it looked like after Yuan Tianyang took off his mask in The Bad Person. Fortunately, the people playing basketball on the basketball court heard an ad shouting for help and ran over to ask what was wrong. At this time, the two people came face to face, and that guy's face was very scary, like what it looked like after Yuan Tianyang took off his mask in The Bad Person. Fortunately, the people playing basketball on the basketball court heard and shouting for help and ran over to ask exactly what was wrong. At that time, an ad was incoherent and said that there were ghosts chasing them, but those people didn't believe it. At this time, when Anand looked back again, that guy was indeed gone. Just as he was relieved and ready to go, his peripheral vision caught the brim of a bamboo hat behind the roadside tree, and instantly realized that the thing hadn't left and was hiding behind the tree, waiting for him. At that time, he thought about what to do. So he sat on the basketball court and called his parents to come and pick him up. Because it was not far from home, his parents arrived in a short while, drove an Ann to the hospital, and after an examination, his arm was dislocated. After Ann told his parents about this, his father's face turned black at the time, and he went out to make a phone call. In the middle of the night that day, a man in his 50s came to the house with a particularly large birthmark on his forehead, extending to his face. And Ant's father introduced this person with the surname Dai, and that's their name. Subsequently, An told Uncle Wu about the strange things he had encountered in Gizhou to that day. Uncle Wu looked at the handprint on An's right ankle that had not yet faded, frowned, and said that An should have been under a very domineering curse from his ex-girlfriend. Under normal circumstances, people who encounter this kind of dirty thing that can leave traces in the real world can't last more than just 3 days. Fortunately, Anna's name is big and domineering enough, and the Yang, QI, and the 8 characters is also strong, otherwise it wouldn't last until now. But if you want to solve this problem, you must go back to An's house in Gizhou, and it must have been done there. The next day, the two people flew back to An's house in Gizhou. After entering the house, Uncle Wu walked around and finally lay on the ground looking under the bed, then put his arm in and didn't know what he was doing. After a while, he stood up and said, "Daily, this child, go and take out the things under the bed." Daily. And Anna was still puzzled, and Uncle Wu directly moved the bed. And then saw a very small and mini black coffin in the middle under the bed, about the length of a little finger, and the coffin cover was a small mirror. At this time, Uncle Wu said, "Daily, the child, only the person who is cursed, can pick up these things, and others can't move or touch them."
Daily?
After hearing Uncle Wu's words, Anna went over and picked up the small coffin and handed it to Uncle Wu. After Uncle Wu took it, he opened the coffin cover, and there was a lock of hair, some debris, and a small note inside which wrote an Ant's birth time and 8 characters. At that time, Uncle warned Anand that he should never casually give his 8 characters to others in the future, especially people who can get his close items. After that, he took off a pendant from his neck, a hollow dragon head. I don't know what material it is, but the dragon head is similar to the old lady's pendant, and the place that touches the skin is so warm. After giving it to Anand, he asked him to wear it, and then Anand never met the man with the bamboo hat again. and he never had a strange dream. As for Uncle Wu, and I later learned that many things in the family were handled by Uncle Wu, including an An's name, which was given by Uncle Wu when he was born. And the next time an An saw Uncle Wu was in, Uncle Wu went there specially to take back the dragon pendant that he had given to an An before, saying that he had a grandson and wanted to leave it for his grandson to wear, and had no major issues in his life from then on. And as life returned to normalcy, never again encountering the mysterious figure or the strange dreams that had once haunted it. It was only years later that An discovered the depth of Uncle Wu's involvement in his family's affairs and the significance of the name given to him at birth by the wise and enigmatic elder. Their paths crossed again in Niri when Uncle Wu came to reclaim the dragon pendant, a symbol of protection that had been within An through his trial. He explained that the amulet was now meant for his own grandson, indicating that an An's future was secure and that there was no longer a need for such a talisman by his side. With a mix of relief and a lingering sense of wonder, and reflected on the incredible story of his encounter with the supernatural and the mysterious figures that had played a part in his life.